3 weeks had passed since the battle. The Coalition fleet limped back to their space, carrying their dead and wounded. News of the fight spread across the galaxy. Everyone wanted to know about the mysterious enemy from the Silent Sector. Ambassador Krelvoth personally interrogated the few human survivors that Coalition ships had captured. Most of the escape pods had hidden successfully in the asteroid field, but 12 pods had been recovered. 144 humans now sat in Coalition detention cells. Krelvoth entered the interrogation room where a human male waited. His file said his name was Dr. Jiwoo, a scientist. The human looked tired and afraid, but also angry. Very angry. "I'm Ambassador Krelvoth," he began carefully. "I want to understand what happened. We received a signal from your ship, a signal that our translators interpreted as a declaration of war." Jiwoo stared at him in disbelief. "War? We sent a distress call, SOS. An ancient Earth signal for help. We were dying and we asked for rescue." Krelvoth felt something cold settle in his stomach. "A distress call? Not an invasion warning?" "Invasion?" Jiwoo laughed bitterly. "We had one ship. One failing colony ship full of refugees. We were running from a dead planet looking for a new home. What possible threat could we be? But your signal spoke of 50,000 warships. We had 50,000 people. Not warships. People, families, children, and you murdered them." The human's voice broke. Krelvoth saw tears running down Jiwoo's face. Real grief, real pain. This was not the face of an invader. This was the face of someone who had lost everything. "Tell me about your world," Krelvoth said quietly. "Tell me about Earth." Over the next several hours, Jiwoo explained. He provided data about Earth from his personal files. Krelvoth watched in growing horror as he learned the truth about the human homeworld. Earth had gravity 30% stronger than most habitable worlds. Its atmosphere contained oxygen at levels that would be toxic to many species. It experienced regular natural disasters: earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanic eruptions, floods. Its ecosystem was filled with predators, diseases, and parasites. Humans had evolved competing against thousands of deadly threats. Krelvoth called in his science team. They analyzed the data and came back with a classification that made everyone go silent. Earth met 15 out of 16 criteria for a Class 12 death world, the highest classification known. No species in the Coalition had evolved on anything above Class 7. "This explains so much," one scientist said in awe. "Look at their biology. They can eat almost anything. They heal incredibly fast. They can run for hours without stopping. They can survive in temperature ranges that would kill most of us. They are persistence hunters." "What is a persistence hunter?" Krelvoth asked. "A hunting strategy where you chase prey until it collapses from exhaustion. Humans do not need to be faster than their prey. They just need to keep following it. For hours. For days if necessary. Eventually the prey's body gives out." Krelvoth thought about the battle, about the new dawn flying straight into the Coalition fleet, not stopping even as it was dying. About the captain who stayed behind to turn his ship into a weapon. Humans did not know how to give up. Their entire evolution had taught them to keep fighting no matter what. Dr. Yuna was brought in next. She was the New Dawn's medical officer and xenobiologist. She provided even more disturbing information. "We are omnivores," she explained. "We can eat plants and meat. Our stomachs can handle food that would poison other species. We evolved this way because Earth was harsh. We had to eat whatever we could find." "And your mental abilities?" Krelvoth asked. "We are pack hunters. We work together. We plan long-term strategies. We are very good at predicting what our enemies will do and setting traps." "What about pain? Injury?" Yuna smiled sadly. "Humans can function with injuries that would incapacitate most species. We have stories of soldiers who kept fighting after losing limbs, of mothers who lifted cars to save their children. Our bodies produce chemicals that block pain during emergencies. We call it adrenaline." The Coalition scientists were taking notes frantically. Everything they learned about humans was terrifying. These were not peaceful beings. These were apex predators shaped by a hostile world into the perfect survivors. But the scariest part came when they learned about human warfare. "We fought each other for thousands of years," Jiwoo admitted. "Humans against humans. We invented weapons. We developed tactics. We learned how to destroy each other efficiently. We had wars that killed millions. Why?" Krelvoth could not understand. "Why would you kill your own kind? Resources, territory, religion, sometimes just fear. Earth was harsh and we learned to be harsh too. News of humanity spread through the coalition. Some factions argued they should eliminate all human survivors immediately. Creatures this dangerous could not be allowed to live, but others pointed out the injustice of what happened. The coalition had attacked first, based on a translation error. While the coalition debated, the human survivors who escaped in the asteroid field were not sitting idle. Colonel Taeyang had been in cryosleep during the battle. He woke up to find himself in an escape pod surrounded by debris and death. He was a military man trained for combat, and unlike the civilian crew of the New Dawn, he had 200 other soldiers with him. Also awake was Mireille, Chief Engineer Hana's apprentice. She was only 19 years old but brilliant with technology. She had been studying coalition systems during the battle, analyzing their ships through the New Dawn's sensors. These aliens are more advanced than us, Mireille told Taeyang, but their technology is not optimized for war. They have been peaceful too long. They have forgotten how to fight. Taeyang grinned. It was not a nice smile. Then let us teach them. The surviving humans began a guerrilla campaign. They raided small coalition outposts, stealing supplies and technology. Mireille figured out how to interface with coalition computer systems. She was shocked at how easy it was. Their security is terrible, she reported. They designed their systems for convenience, not protection. I can hack into almost anything. Using stolen ships and weapons, the humans launched hit-and-run attacks. They struck coalition supply lines. They ambushed patrol vessels. They used tactics the coalition had never seen before. Coalition forces responded, but they were confused and frightened. Humans fought in ways that made no sense to them. They used false retreats to lure coalition ships into traps. They attacked from unexpected angles. They targeted commanding officers specifically, cutting off leadership. The coalition lost 30% of their forces in 3 months, not because humans had better technology, but because humans knew how to wage war. Commander Vex 9 tried to explain it to the Coalition Council. They do not fight to conquer territory, he said. They fight to break our will. Every attack is designed to cause maximum fear and confusion. They want us to be afraid, and it is working. High Merchant Thishian was nearly wilting with terror. We must negotiate peace. We cannot defeat them. How do we negotiate? Another delegate asked. They hate us. We killed their families. Krelvoth had been quietly working on something. He had continued interviewing human prisoners, learning everything he could about their culture. He learned about their art, their music, their poetry. He learned about their capacity for both violence and compassion, and he made contact with Dr. Yuna. I know what we did was wrong, Krelvoth told her. I know you have every right to hate us, but please help me stop this war. Help me find a way for both our peoples to survive. Yuna looked at him for a long moment. You really did not know, did you? You really thought we were invaders. We were afraid. We made a terrible mistake. Fear makes people do terrible things, Yuna agreed. Humans know that better than anyone. We almost destroyed ourselves because of fear. Then you understand, please, talk to your people. Tell them we want peace. Yuna agreed to try, but she warned him. I do not know if they will listen. You killed 44,000 of us. That is not something humans forget or forgive easily. In the asteroid base, Colonel Taeyang was planning the next attack, a major coalition supply depot. If they destroyed it, they could cripple coalition operations in this sector. But then he received a message from Dr. Yuna, explaining the translation error, asking for a chance at peace. Taeyang read the message 3 times. Then he called a meeting of all the ranking survivors. They say it was a mistake, he told them. They say they thought we were invaders. Does that bring back the dead? Someone asked bitterly. No. But maybe it means we can stop making more dead, on both sides. The debate among the humans was just as fierce as the debate in the coalition. Some wanted revenge. Others wanted peace. They had lost so much, but did that mean they had to become monsters too? Mireille spoke up. She was the youngest person there, but everyone listened. We came to the stars to find a new home, to find hope. If we keep fighting, all we will find is more death. My teacher Hana died in that battle. Captain Dae Jung died. Thousands died. We can honor them by winning this war. Or we can honor them by being better than our enemies. The vote was close, but finally they decided to talk. To give peace one chance, but both sides knew the truth. Trust had been shattered. Blood had been spilled. And even if they stopped fighting now, nothing would ever be the same. Navigator Sujin saw them first. 200 massive ships appeared on her sensors, dropping out of hyperspace in perfect military formation. She stared at her screen, not believing what she was seeing. Captain Daejung. Ships incoming! Lots of ships. Daejung rushed to the bridge. He had been helping Hana try to stabilize the reactor for 1 more hour. Just 1 more hour. The new dawn had maybe 30 hours left before the reactor exploded. They had been broadcasting their distress signal for 36 hours straight. Someone had finally heard them. Show me, Daejung ordered. The main display lit up with sensor data. 200 contacts, all of them huge, all of them armed. Daejung felt hope surge through him. They were saved. They were actually saved. Sujin broadcast our greeting messages, all of them. Let them know we come in peace. Sujin activated every peaceful greeting they had prepared. Images of Earth, pictures of humans smiling, laughing, living, mathematical proofs showing they understood science, musical compositions proving they had culture. Everything that said, "We are intelligent, we are peaceful, please help us." On the Coalition flagship Unity's Pride, Fleet Admiral Dexral studied his own sensors. His excitement faded to confusion. "Where is the invasion fleet?" he asked his tactical officer. "Sir, I am only detecting 1 ship, a large vessel but old. Its power signature is failing." 1 ship? But the signal said 50,000 warships. "I do not understand either, sir. But sensors do not lie. There is only 1 ship there." Dexral felt suspicion grow in his mind. This had to be a trap. An invasion fleet would not send just 1 ship. Unless that 1 ship was a decoy meant to lure the Coalition fleet into an ambush. "Full combat alert," Dexral ordered. "Scan for hidden ships. Look for cloaking technology or hyperspace signatures. They must be hiding somewhere." On the new dawn, Hyunwoo was watching the tactical display with growing concern. "Captain, they are not responding to our messages. And their weapons are powering up." "What? Why would they power weapons? We are clearly no threat." Dr. Yuna had an idea. "Maybe they do not understand our messages. Maybe our translation is corrupted, just like our distress signal was corrupted." Daejung made a decision. Send more messages. Simple ones, mathematics, universal constants, things that cannot be misunderstood. Sujin worked frantically, sending equation after equation. The value of pi, the speed of light, simple addition. Anything that might break through the language barrier. But on the Unity's Pride, Talmora was analyzing these new messages. The corrupted translation matrix turned simple math into tactical data. It translated pi as coordinates, speed of light as velocity calculations. "Addition as ship counts, Admiral," Talmora reported. "They are sending tactical information, coordinates for attack positions, velocity calculations for assault vectors. They are preparing to attack us." This was exactly what Dexral had feared. The enemy was not here to talk. They were here to fight. "Send a warning shot," Dexral ordered. "Fire across their bow. Make them understand they need to stand down." A Coalition cruiser fired its main plasma cannon. The shot was carefully aimed to miss the new dawn by several kilometers. A warning. A clear message: "We are armed, do not threaten us." But the shot did not miss by several kilometers. The targeting computer had calibrated for Coalition ship sizes and speeds. The new dawn was much slower and much larger than expected. The plasma bolt struck the ship's starboard hull, exactly where the reactor containment was already failing. On the new dawn's bridge, every alarm screamed at once. The ship shook violently. Lights exploded. Consoles sparked and died. "Hull breach." Hana's voice came through the communication system. "Reactor containment failing. We have minutes before complete meltdown." Daejung grabbed his chair as another explosion rocked the ship. He saw the casualty reports flooding in. 12 dead, dozens injured, and the reactor was going critical. "They attacked us," Hyunwoo said in disbelief. "We asked for help and they attacked us." Daejung's mind raced. They had no weapons, no shields, no way to defend themselves. The New Dawn was a colony ship, not a warship. Against 200 alien vessels, they had no chance. But he would not just sit here and die. He would not let his people be slaughtered without a fight. "Wake everyone from cryosleep," Daejung ordered. "Get them to the escape pods. All of them now." "Sir, there is not enough time," Hyunwoo protested. "Then we make time. Hana, can you overload the reactor on purpose? Can you make it explode when we want it to?" There was a pause on the communication channel. Then Hana understood what he was planning. Yes, but someone needs to stay to set it off manually. The automated systems are destroyed. I will stay, Daejung said immediately. Captain, no. Sujin started. That is an order. Everyone to the escape pods. Hyunwoo, you are in command. Get our people to safety. I will buy you time. Daejung turned to look at his crew one last time. Sujin was crying. Hyunwoo looked angry. Yuna just nodded, understanding what had to be done. It has been an honor serving with you, Daejung said. Now go. The crew abandoned the bridge, running for the escape pods. Throughout the ship, 50,000 people were waking from cryosleep. Confused and terrified. They had no idea what was happening. They just knew they had to get to the escape pods as fast as possible. Daejung sat in the captain's chair and plotted a course. Straight toward the coalition flagship. The New Dawn still had thrusters. Still had enough power for one last burst of speed. On the Unity's Pride, Dexral watched in horror as the damaged enemy ship suddenly accelerated toward him. They are on a collision course, his tactical officer shouted. Evasive maneuvers. All ships scatter. But the coalition fleet had never practiced evasive maneuvers. They had been at peace for 300 years. The ships moved too slowly, crashing into each other in their panic to avoid the New Dawn. Daejung armed the reactor overload. He set it for 60 seconds. Enough time for the escape pods to get clear. Enough time to get close to that flagship. He thought about Earth, about the blue skies and green forests he would never see again, about humanity still alive in those escape pods, about the aliens who attacked them without even trying to communicate first. If you think we are warriors, Daejung said to the empty bridge, then I will show you what warriors do. At the last second, he activated the escape pod sequence from the captain's chair and let it eject him. The New Dawn continued forward on autopilot, now a pilotless missile heading straight for the coalition fleet. The reactor exploded when the ship was only 1 kilometer from the Unity's Pride. The explosion was massive, far larger than any weapon the coalition had ever seen. It turned night into day. It created a shockwave that threw ships around like toys. The Unity's Pride's shields failed instantly. The flagship's entire port side tore apart. 14 other coalition ships were damaged or destroyed, and scattered throughout the debris field were 6,000 human escape pods, tiny and fragile, drifting in the chaos. Dexral pulled himself up from the floor of his ruined bridge. Half his crew was dead. His ship was dying, and they had just fought the first battle of a war nobody wanted. Fire on those pods, he ordered weakly. They are enemy combatants, sir. They are unarmed escape pods, his tactical officer protested. They just destroyed my flagship and killed hundreds of my crew with a suicide attack, Dexral said coldly. What kind of species does that? What kind of monsters are we fighting? The coalition ships that could still fire began targeting the escape pods. Plasma bolts lanced through space. Pods exploded one after another. Humans who had just woken from cryosleep died before they even understood where they were. But 6,000 pods were scattered across a huge area. The coalition fleet was damaged and disorganized. Many pods escaped into the asteroid field nearby, hiding among the rocks. In one of those pods, Captain Daejung floated unconscious, his emergency pod's beacon turned off. Around him, other pods held his crew. Sujin, Hyunwoo, Yuna, Hana, thousands of others. They had come to the stars looking for salvation. They had sent a distress signal asking for help. And they had been attacked for it. First contact had failed. The first human-alien interaction had been violence. And now, scattered and afraid, the survivors had only one thought: survive, and make them pay for what they did. The signal arrived at Coalition Monitoring Station 47 at exactly 0300 hours Galactic Standard Time. The night shift operator, a young Velrathi named Kessetol, almost ignored it. Strange signals came from the silent sector all the time. Usually they were just radiation bursts or magnetic storms. But this signal was different. It had a pattern. A deliberate pattern. Kessetol recorded it and sent it immediately to Coalition Command. Within 30 minutes, the signal reached Ambassador Krelvoth's personal terminal. He woke up to urgent alerts flashing across his screen. He listened to the signal. 3 short pulses, 3 long pulses, 3 short pulses, repeating endlessly. Krelvoth felt his blood run cold. He immediately called Commander Vex 9 and linguist Talamora to an emergency meeting. They gathered in a secure room deep inside Coalition headquarters. Talamora was the Coalition's chief communication specialist. She had spent her entire life studying languages from hundreds of species. She could translate almost anything. But when she analyzed the signal from the silent sector, her confidence disappeared. "I have never seen anything like this," Talmora admitted. Her species had feathers instead of hair, and they ruffled with agitation. "The pattern is clearly artificial, clearly intentional, but it does not match any known language or communication protocol in our database." "What does that mean?" Krelvoth asked. "It means we are dealing with a completely unknown species, one that has never made contact with the Coalition before." Vex 9 added more disturbing news. "The signal is extremely powerful. Based on its strength, I calculate it comes from either a massive communications array or multiple ships broadcasting together. Either way, this represents significant technological capability." Talmora worked through the night, running the signal through every translation matrix the Coalition possessed. Nothing worked. The Universal Translator, which could handle 892 different languages, had no reference point for this new signal. Finally, she tried something different. She looked at the pattern itself, ignoring the sounds. 333, short, long, short. She searched historical databases for similar patterns, and she found something. "Ambassador, I think I have it," Talmora said, her voice shaking. "But you are not going to like it." She displayed her findings on the main screen. Ancient Velrathi military codes from before the Coalition was formed. From the dark times when species fought each other for territory and resources. In old Velrathi war codes, a 3-pulse pattern with this specific rhythm meant one thing: prepare for conquest. It was the signal aggressive fleets sent before attacking. It meant, "We are coming, resistance is futile, surrender now." Krelvoth stared at the screen in horror. "Are you certain?" "The pattern is identical," Talmora confirmed. "Now look at this. The signal contains additional data. Encoded information buried in the pulses. I have been trying to translate it." She played another recording. This one had been processed through the translation matrix. Words formed, but they made terrible sense. 50,000 warships. First wave of extinction. Death comes. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. An unknown and powerful species was announcing an invasion. 50,000 warships. The Coalition's entire military had only 10,000 ships total. "There must be a mistake," Krelvoth said desperately. "Perhaps the translation is wrong." "I have checked it 17 times, Talmora replied. "The numbers are clear. The intent is clear. This is a declaration of war." Commander Vex 9 began running tactical calculations. If they have 50,000 warships and technology advanced enough to survive in the silent sector, we cannot win a direct fight. Our only option is a preemptive strike. We must attack them before they finish preparing their invasion. "Attack first?" Krelvoth was shocked. "The Coalition has not launched an offensive war in 300 years. We are a peaceful organization. Then we will die as a peaceful organization," Vex 9 said bluntly. "Ambassador, I do not want war. But we have no choice. They have made their intentions clear." Krelvoth called an emergency session of the Coalition Council. It was the middle of the night, but every delegate appeared on their communication screens within an hour. News of the signal had already spread. Panic was building across Coalition space. Krelvoth presented the evidence. The signal pattern, the translation, the estimated fleet size. Every piece of information pointed to the same terrible conclusion. Something dangerous was coming from the silent sector, and it meant to destroy them all. High Merchant Thyssian spoke first, his plant-like body wilting with fear. "This is exactly what I worried about. We should have explored that sector years ago. Now it is too late." Other delegates agreed. They had ignored the silent sector for too long. Now they would pay the price, but not everyone was convinced. A delegate from the peaceful cultivation worlds raised a concern. "What if we are wrong? What if this is not a war declaration? What if they are trying to communicate peacefully and we simply do not understand? Then why use a pattern identical to an ancient war code?" Vex 9 countered. "The probability of that being coincidence is less than 1%. The debate raged for hours. Some delegates wanted to try peaceful contact first. Others wanted immediate military action. But as the arguments continued, more data arrived from the monitoring stations. The signals were getting stronger. The source was moving toward Coalition space. That decided the vote. The Coalition Council authorized the largest military mobilization in their history. 200 warships would gather and jump to the silent sector. They would find this unknown enemy and neutralize the threat before the invasion began. Fleet Admiral Dexrel was given command. He was an experienced Vilrathi officer who had never actually fought a war. No one in the modern coalition had. They had been at peace for 3 centuries, but Dexrel had studied history. He knew the tactics of old wars. He would not let his people die without a fight. The fleet assembled within 24 hours. Ships came from every corner of coalition space, sleek Velrathi cruisers, massive Praxos trade vessels converted into carriers, synthetic collective drones that could fight without risking organic lives. It was an impressive sight. Krelvoth came to see them off. He found Dexrel on the bridge of the flagship, a massive vessel called the Unity's Pride. "I hope you're right about this," Krelvoth said quietly. "I hope we are not about to start a war with innocent people." "If they are innocent, they will not be broadcasting invasion signals," Dexrel replied. "Ambassador, I understand your concern, but my job is to protect coalition lives. If there is even a small chance this is a real threat, I must respond." "Just promise me one thing," Krelvoth said. "Try to communicate first. Give them a chance to explain. If this really is a misunderstanding, I do not want it to become a tragedy." Dexrel nodded. "I will do what I can, but if they attack, I will not hesitate to defend my fleet." The 200 warships activated their hyperspace drives and vanished in pulses of blue light. They were heading toward the silent sector, toward an enemy they did not understand, toward a confrontation that would change the galaxy forever. On the monitoring stations, technicians continued tracking the signal. It had not stopped. 3 short pulses, 3 long pulses, 3 short pulses, over and over. One young technician, bored during her shift, researched other historical signal patterns. She found something interesting in an old database about pre-coalition Earth exploration. Apparently, an ancient Earth civilization had used a similar signal pattern for distress calls. 333. They had called it SOS. She almost reported it. But then she decided it was not important. Everyone already knew what the signal meant. The linguists had translated it. The council had voted. The fleet was already gone. She deleted her finding and went back to routine monitoring. In the silent sector, the New Dawn continued broadcasting its cry for help, unaware that help was coming. Unaware that the helpers thought they were invaders. Unaware that first contact with alien life was about to become first blood. Captain Daejung walked through the dark corridors of the New Dawn, his footsteps echoing in the empty halls. The ship groaned around him, metal straining against forces it was never designed to handle. Red emergency lights cast everything in a bloody glow. Somewhere deep in the ship, an alarm beeped steadily, marking time like a dying heartbeat. He had been awake for 72 hours straight. His body ached, his eyes burned, but he could not rest. Not when 50,000 lives depended on him. The New Dawn had left Earth 73 years ago. Back then, it had been humanity's greatest achievement. A massive colony ship built to carry survivors across the stars to find a new home. Earth was dying, poisoned by centuries of pollution and war. The planet could no longer support human life. So they had built this ship, filled it with people in cryosleep, and aimed it toward a distant star system that might have a habitable world. Daejung had been 25 years old when he went into cryosleep. He woke up 6 months ago as an old system failure alert screamed through the ship. He was still 25. Everyone in cryosleep aged very slowly, but the ship had aged. 73 years of constant travel through the harshest region of space had worn it down. He reached the engineering bay and found Chief Engineer Hana buried in a maze of cables and broken machinery. She was younger than him, only 22, but she knew the New Dawn better than anyone. She had studied its systems during the entire 6 months since the emergency wake-up. "How bad is it?" Daejung asked, though he already knew the answer would not be good. Hana pulled herself out from under a control panel. Her face was smeared with grease and sweat. "The main reactor is failing. I have done everything I can, but we are out of replacement parts, out of quick fixes, out of time." "How long do we have?" 48 hours, maybe less. When the reactor goes, it will take the whole ship with it. Daejung felt his stomach drop. "Can we save the cryopods?" Hana shook her head. "Life support is already at 23%. I have been rerouting power from every non-essential system, but it is not enough. Pods are starting to fail. I have already detected 7 malfunction alerts in the past hour. 7 people were dying while he stood here. 7 people who had trusted him to bring them to safety. Wake everyone up, Dae-jung said quietly. Hana stared at him. Captain, if we wake everyone, life support will collapse in hours. The ship is going to explode in 2 days anyway, Dae-jung replied. At least if they are awake, they get to see the stars one more time. They get to say goodbye. Hana nodded slowly. She understood. They both knew what this meant. The mission had failed. Humanity's last hope was about to die in the darkness between stars. But Dae-jung was not ready to give up yet. Before we wake everyone, I want to try something. We have detected signs of advanced civilizations in the nearby sectors, right? Yes, Hana confirmed. Navigator Su-jin found energy signatures consistent with space stations, ships, maybe even colonies. Someone lives out here. Someone with technology far more advanced than ours. Then we send a distress signal. The universal one from Earth. 3 short pulses, 3 long pulses, 3 short pulses, SOS. Every human knows it. Maybe they will understand it too. Hana looked doubtful. Captain, we do not know anything about these aliens. They might be hostile. They might see us as invaders. Or they might help us, Dae-jung said firmly. I would rather die asking for help than die in silence. He made his way to the bridge. Lieutenant Hyunwoo was already there, monitoring the security systems. The lieutenant was a military man like Dae-jung, trained for combat. But there was nothing to fight here, just failing systems and cold space. Hyunwoo, I need you to prepare the crew for emergency procedures, Dae-jung ordered. We are waking everyone up. The lieutenant's eyes widened. Everyone? Sir, the life support, I know. Just do it. Navigator Su-jin sat at her station, her young face pale with stress. She had never expected her first mission to be humanity's last. She had trained to guide them to a new world, not watch them die in space. Su-jin, I need you to send a signal, Dae-jung said. The old Earth distress call, SOS pattern. Broadcast it on all frequencies. Make it strong. Make sure anyone out there can hear it. Su-jin's fingers flew across her controls. Yes, Captain. Sending now. Signal strength is maximum. If anyone is within 20 light years, they will hear it. The bridge filled with the sound of the signal pulsing out into space. 3 short beeps. 3 long beeps. 3 short beeps. Over and over, calling into the void. Dr. Yuna arrived on the bridge, summoned by Hyunwoo. She was the ship's medical officer and xenobiologist. She had spent years studying what alien life might look like, preparing to help humanity make first contact with other species. Is it true? She asked. We are really dying? Dae-jung nodded. The reactor will explode in less than 48 hours. But we detected signs of alien civilizations nearby. We are sending a distress signal. Yuna looked at the star charts on the main display. She saw the energy signatures Su-jin had detected. Dozens of them. Proof that humanity was not alone in the universe. What if they do not understand our signal? Yuna asked. What if they think we are attacking? Then we will explain, Dae-jung said. We will show them images of Earth, pictures of our families, anything to make them understand we need help. The crew worked frantically for the next several hours. Hana tried to squeeze every last bit of life from the dying reactor. Hyunwoo prepared emergency procedures for when the cryopods opened. Su-jin kept broadcasting the distress signal, adding human language greetings in every form she could think of. Yuna prepared a data package to send with the signal. Images of Earth, blue oceans and green forests, cities full of people, children playing, art music, everything that made humanity worth saving. Captain, I am detecting something in the signal data, Su-jin said suddenly. When I added information about our cryopods, the translation program flagged it. Flagged it how? It tried to translate 50,000 people in cryosleep into mathematical notation for alien understanding. But the program is damaged. I think it might be sending the wrong numbers. Dae-jung felt a chill run down his spine. What numbers is it sending? Soo-jin checked her screen. I cannot be sure. The program is corrupted. But I think instead of saying, we have 50,000 people, it might be saying we have 50,000 ships. Fix it, Dae-jung ordered. I am trying, but the communication system is failing too. If I shut it down to repair it, we lose the distress signal. Dae-jung had to make a choice. Keep broadcasting a potentially wrong message, or stop and fix it, but lose precious time. Keep broadcasting, he decided. If someone responds, we will explain the error. Right now, getting anyone's attention is more important than perfect translation. The distress signal continued to pulse out into space. 3 short. 3 long. 3 short. A cry for help from a dying species. But in the distant coalition space, that same signal was being received very differently. The pattern that meant help us in human language was being translated as something else entirely. Something that would change everything. Dae-jung stood on the bridge of his dying ship, watching the stars and hoping. Somewhere out there, someone had to be listening. Someone had to care. Someone had to come and save them. He had no idea that someone was coming. He had no idea they were bringing warships. The countdown continued. 46 hours until reactor failure. 46 hours until the end of humanity's journey. Unless help arrived first. The Grand Hall of Velrath Prime sparkled with lights from 1,000 worlds. Ambassador Krelvoth stood at the center podium, his blue skin shimmering under the ceremonial glow. Around him sat representatives from every corner of the galaxy, the Velrathi Empire, the Synthetic Collective, the merchant guilds of Praxos, and dozens of smaller civilizations, all gathered for one reason. They were celebrating 300 years of peace. Krelvoth raised his forearms in the traditional gesture of unity. The crowd fell silent. His voice echoed through the massive chamber, translated instantly into hundreds of languages by the universal communication system. For 3 centuries we have lived without war, he began. Our ancestors fought terrible battles. Entire planets burned. Billions died. But we learned. We chose a better path. Today we stand together as the Galactic Coalition, and no force in the universe can break our bond. The hall erupted in cheers. Delegates from different species celebrated together, their various sounds blending into a symphony of joy. High Merchant Thyssian, whose people looked like tall walking plants, swayed happily. Commander Vex 9, whose mechanical body gleamed with polished metal, flashed lights in approval. But Krelvoth had more to say. He waited for the noise to die down before continuing. However, I must share important news with you all. Our survey teams have mapped every corner of our galaxy. We have found and cataloged 47,000 habitable worlds. We have made contact with 892 intelligent species. We know the location of every star, every planet, every moon that could support life. He paused, and his expression became serious. Except for one place, Sector 447, which we call the Silent Sector. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Many delegates had heard stories about the Silent Sector. It was a dangerous region of space filled with radiation storms and strange gravitational forces. Ships that went there rarely came back. The few that did return brought tales of instruments going crazy and navigation systems failing completely. Krelvoth activated a holographic display. A 3-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared above the delegates. A red zone marked the Silent Sector. It looked like a wound on the otherwise peaceful map. For 300 years we have avoided this region, Krelvoth explained. The radiation levels are deadly to most known life forms. The gravitational anomalies make space travel nearly impossible. Our scientists calculated that nothing could survive there. No civilization could develop in such harsh conditions. Thyssian spoke up, his voice like wind through leaves. Then why do we discuss this today, Ambassador? If the sector is empty and dangerous, let it remain unexplored. We have enough worlds for everyone. Many delegates nodded in agreement. They had no interest in risking lives to explore a dead region of space. But Commander Vex 9 stood up. His mechanical body whirred softly as he moved. Unlike organic beings, he never felt fear, but his logical processors had identified a problem. Ambassador Krelvoth is not telling you everything, Vex 9 said. His synthetic voice was calm but firm. Our monitoring stations have detected unusual energy readings from the silent sector. These readings have grown stronger over the past 10 years. The cheerful atmosphere in the hall vanished. Delegates looked at each other with concern. Energy readings meant technology. Technology meant civilization. And an unknown civilization in such a dangerous place could only mean one thing. They were strong. Very strong, Krelvoth nodded slowly. Commander Vex 9 is correct. We have detected signals. But they are faint and irregular. Our best scientists have analyzed them. They believe these signals are natural phenomena. Perhaps exotic radiation from dying stars or unusual crystal formations that emit energy pulses. But you are not certain. Vex 9 pressed. Your report contains a probability assessment. There is a 23% chance these signals are artificial. The hall erupted in worried conversations. 23% might not sound like much, but when dealing with the unknown, any percentage was too high. The galaxy had been peaceful for so long that most civilizations had reduced their military forces. They had become comfortable. Soft, Krelvoth raised his arms again, calling for calm. I understand your concerns, but I ask you to think logically. What species could survive in the silent sector? The radiation alone would kill most of us within hours. The gravity wells would crush our ships. And even if something lived there, why would they hide for 3 centuries? If they had the technology to survive such conditions, they would have contacted us long ago. These words made sense to most delegates. They relaxed slightly. Perhaps Krelvoth was right. Perhaps they were worrying about nothing. The council voted quickly. Only a handful of delegates supported sending an exploration mission to the silent sector. The vast majority wanted to continue their celebration and forget about mysterious signals from a dead region of space. They had more important matters to discuss, like trade agreements and cultural exchanges. As the meeting ended and delegates began to leave, Commander Vex 9 approached Krelvoth privately. The ambassador was gathering his documents, looking tired but satisfied. You did well, Vex 9 said. You calmed their fears. Krelvoth looked at the synthetic commander. But you do not think I should have, do you? I am a military intelligence officer, Vex 9 replied. My function is to identify threats. The readings from the silent sector are not natural. My analysis shows an 87% probability that they are artificial signals. Krelvoth's skin turned a darker shade of blue, a sign of worry among his people. You told the council 23%. I told them what you asked me to tell them, Vex 9 said without emotion. You wanted to prevent panic. You succeeded. But the truth remains. Something is in the silent sector. Something that can survive conditions that would destroy our most advanced technology. And for the past 10 years, their signals have been getting stronger. Krelvoth sat down heavily. What do you suggest? We should send a stealth reconnaissance mission. Small, fast ships with advanced sensors. If there is a civilization there, we need to know about it before they decide to contact us. And if the council finds out I went against their decision, Vex 9's optical sensors glowed softly. Then you will have to decide what is more important, your position or the safety of the galaxy. The ambassador looked at the holographic map still floating above the podium. The red zone of the silent sector seemed to pulse like a heartbeat, like something alive waiting in the darkness. Give me 2 days to think about it, Krelvoth said finally. Vex 9 nodded and left, but as he walked through the empty corridors of the Grand Hall, his processors calculated outcomes and probabilities. He had not told Krelvoth everything. The energy readings were not just getting stronger. They were getting closer. Something was coming from the silent sector. And whatever it was, it would change everything.